Good morning. It's good to be with you on this Labor Day. I hope you are having a wonderful day, a great day of rest. Labor Day is I always think of something I heard somebody say one time, how when you read the story of the fall in Genesis 3, you see that God tells Adam and Eve, cursed because of you is the ground, and by the sweat of your brow you will eat bread and things such as that. And we see that in that moment that part of the consequence of the fall is that work is hard. By the sweat of your brow is what the Lord says. But I think it's important for us to. I heard somebody say this one time. It's so important to always remember this, that the Bible did not begin in Genesis 3. The Bible began in Genesis 1 and 2. So before we have the fall, we have creation. And every day in creation, God said it is good. And so when you see, particularly in Genesis 2, the created order, you still see that one of the things that God does for Adam is that God gives Adam a job, that Adam works in the garden. Work is not a bad thing. Now, the difficulty of it, the sweat of the brow stuff, that is a consequence of the fall. That was not God's original intent or desire for work. But work is good. So it's important for us to have work. Work gives us dignity. Work gives us pride. Work gives us something to accomplish. So work's a good thing. Work is a very good thing. But we should also rest from our work. Sabbath breaking is the only one of the commandments that it's seen as a good thing to break. So work is good. So but we should rest. So today, on your Labor Day, I hope you're getting some rest. I hope wherever you find yourself at today, that you're resting and you are enjoying this day of rest. So today we're going to be reading. Um, we're going to read John 43 through the end of the chapter, 43 through 54, where it says this. When the 2 days were over, he went from that place to Galilee. For Jesus himself had testified that a prophet has no honor in his prophet's hometown, in his prophet's own country. When he came to Galilee, the Galileans welcomed him, since they had seen all that he had done in Jerusalem at the festival, for what they too had gone to the festival. Then he came again to Cana in Galilee, where he had changed the water into wine. Now there was a royal official whose son lay ill in Capernaum. When he heard that Jesus had come to Judea, from Judea to Galilee, he went and begged him to come down and heal his son, for he was at the point of death. Jesus said to him, unless you see signs and wonders, you will not believe. The official said to him, Sir, come down before my little boy dies. Jesus said to him, Go, and your son will live. The man believed the words that Jesus spoke to him and started on his way. As he was going down, his slaves met him and told him that the child was alive. So he asked them the hour when he began to recover, and they said, Yesterday at 1 in the afternoon, the fever left him. The father realized that this was the hour when Jesus had said to him, Your son will live. So he himself believed, along with his whole household. Now, this is the second sign that Jesus did after coming from Judea to Galilee. So we see Jesus heal. He returns to Galilee. Galilee is in the north part of Israel. Jerusalem is in the central. And Samaria is north of Jerusalem, more to the northeast, as though you were going to Jericho. But you can go going through Samaria is the easiest way to get from Jerusalem to Galilee, but a lot of people don't want to do it because they don't want to go through Samaria. So Jesus takes the direct route and gets to Galilee, which is by the Sea of Galilee. That's where most of his ministry will happen. Capernaum, you see that there is a official whose son was in Capernaum. Capernaum is kind of one of the headquarters of Jesus. Cana of Galilee is where the wedding was. That he made the water into wine. So the word of who Jesus was has spread. They say we know what you did because we were there. We were at the festival, so we saw what you did. Um, so he's now returned to Galilee, which isn't his home, but will be I put it like this: Galilee will be his base of operations. This is where he'll spend most of his time and spend a lot of his energy and a lot of his effort. So here he is in Cana of Galilee, and he heals this boy. And one of the things that we see here is notice he doesn't touch this child, does he? The official says, "Sir, come down before my little boy dies." Jesus said to him, "Go, and your son will live." The man believed the word that Jesus spoke to him and started on his way. So often in the Gospels that Jesus will touch someone. He will lay hands on them. He will spit and make mud and put it on their eyes, or he will do something like this. Jesus doesn't do any of that here. He simply says, "Your son will live." The man believed. He started on his way, and then then the servants, the slaves met him and said, "The son is better." And the time the son started to get better was the exact time that Jesus had said he would be okay. And he didn't believe. So he himself believed, along with his whole household. This is the second time that Jesus did after coming to Judea from Galilee. So we see here the importance that faith plays in this child's healing. And remember, healing in the biblical sense isn't always physical. Sometimes, more often than not, the healing in John's gospel is a spiritual healing. There are physical components to it, but healing is about wholeness, and wholeness is about being made whole. So the man believed that Jesus would heal his son, and his son was healed because of that. It's faith, y'all. Hebrews 11 tells us without faith, it's impossible to please God, because how can you please if you don't believe he exists? And that is one of the things that in faith we have to do, is we just have to, you can't argue someone into heaven. There's a way of thinking and testing and arguing called apologetics, where you are proving that God exists or proving that God is God. And I think apologetics are useful. I think there's a useful tool in that. Think about Keller in his great book, The Reason for God, or C.S. Lewis in his great book, Mere Christianity. I think those are two, and some in the ontological argument. There are some great apologetics on proving God exists. Being a Christian is a rational thing. Believing in God is rational. Don't let anybody tell you that it's not. It is completely rational. I'm a rational person, and I have faith. But faith is not a provable thing. Faith is not something that we can prove on a spreadsheet or prove with an equation. So I think for me, apologetics, these type things, they're more useful after faith. They buck up our faith, if you will. But faith is belief. Faith is looking. One of my friends said this when I was in college years ago. Said faith is coming to a ledge and jumping off, knowing that God will either catch you or he will give you wings to fly. That's faith. As important as reason is, especially reason is important to me. I'm a rational person. Reason is important to me. But as important as reason is, it isn't faith. We aren't brought to salvation through reason. Even though we're called to love the Lord our God with all of our mind, we're called to love the Lord of our God with our heart, with our soul, with our mind, with our strength. But it all starts with faith. So today, our life is honestly the most apologetic thing we can offer someone, is when we love someone deeply and passionately in Jesus. When we love somebody and when we forgive, when we show mercy, when we show grace, when we live out the good news of the gospel, when we live out our faith, folks say, "Why do you live like that? Why do you forgive or show mercy or show grace? Why do you act as you do?" And then we can say as Christians, "Well, it's because of Jesus. It's because Jesus changed my life. It's because Jesus made me a new person. He is the reason I have hope. He is the reason I have faith, and I believe in him." And he changes us. He changes us with faith. Paul says we are saved by grace through faith, lest no one can boast. Today shows us the power of faith. The man believed, not because Jesus touched the child, because Jesus touched him. He believed in Jesus, and that changed everything. So today, it's about faith, y'all. It's about faith. So today, let's trust, even when it's hard. Let's have faith, even when it's hard. Let's point others to faith, even when it's a challenge. So today, have faith. Work hard. It's Labor Day. Rest hard. It's Labor Day. Have faith. Thanks for being with us, and we'll pick up tomorrow with chapter 5. Have a great day.